Hey
Great.
everyone, welcome to another episode of the Adventures of a Real Estate Investor. I'm Susie.
And I'm Michael, and we're excited you joined us for this adventure.
So today I am so excited because we have a very, very, very special guest today. One, she has become one of my friends. Two, I actually just enjoy being with her every single time I'm with her. And you'll find out why shortly. But today's very special guest is Kristin Cleary. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hello. Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, no, us too. And I know how I kind of gave a little, like a little sneak peek of like all the great things about Kristen. But the reason Michael and I know Kristen so well, or I mean, I guess I know her well, you not so much, but that's
I
okay.
know her. Yeah,
Kristen is the on-site property manager at one of our properties. So her and I have now been intertwined for 2 years. And it has just been a wild ride. Well, almost 2 years, but still wild ride. It's been a lot of fun. And so I can't wait for all of you to end up loving Kristen as much as I do.
Oh, thank you for that, Susie. Very sweet of you.
absolutely. And yeah, we're really excited to have you on. Kristen, obviously, Susie and I know a lot about you because we've been hanging out for the past 2 years. But I'm sure Adventurous family would love to know more about you. Would you mind giving our Adventurous family a little bit more about your background and like why you started investing in real estate? I know we talked about you being on-site PM, but we're going to get into your real estate investing journey here. But a little bit about your background and like what made you make that transition.
Yeah, sure. So without being too long-winded, which I sometimes can do. So I've been here at this property for about a year and a half, close to 2 years, I guess. Before that, I was managing mobile home parks for like a year. That wasn't really my forte. I thought apartments would be a little better. Before that, though, I was just doing things completely different in my life that had nothing to do with real estate. So it's always been kind of an interest of mine. COVID kind of threw a wrench in my life like it did to so many people. So then I had to just find something else to do. And real estate's always been something that's interested me. I guess I would say initially, like when I was 14 and first moved to Oklahoma and learned that the people my parents bought their house from had bought all this land and subdivided it up and sold it off and then made all this money to buy their house. And I thought, that's amazing. So I've always had that little story in the back of my head, just kind of along the way. And then thought, my own rentals one day would be cool. I just had no idea how to do that. And so I thought, well, if I get a job in property management, I can learn how to be a property manager. And now I'm like, I want to be a real estate investor. I'll be on that journey too.
I love that.
I
Yeah,
do too. Because you are getting towards that journey and you are technically at that journey,
you
which
are
makes me so happy.
on that
In the journey.
journey.
You just have to get your toes wet and then dive in, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So when you initially, because you said that you were in, mobile home parks and then transferred to apartments, what is like the biggest difference between the two?
I mean, it's very different. So I don't even know how to explain. There's so many differences. For one, the clientele is a little bit better in apartments. I'm not going to lie about that. But for two, when you have people that you have to like evict, for example, when it's a mobile home that they own and you're evicting them because they owe back rent on their lot, you're not just taking them from the place they live, you are essentially taking something of theirs. And so I didn't really like that. I just had a problem kind of morally. I mean, I guess that's for other people and it's fine, but I just didn't like that. I mean, if it's just apartments, you're just scooting them out on their way if they can't pay their bills. So
Yeah.
that was one big difference that I don't know. I didn't really care for that part of it.
Yeah, that's crazy. I never even thought about that. Like, I understand how mobile home parks operate. Most of the time, the property just owns the land underneath the mobile home, right? And like park, you buy the resident buys that mobile home and then sets it on the land, and they rent the land from you. Yeah, it's crazy to think about like that when you evict them, like you have to evict them out of their house because like I know it costs like $10,000-$20,000 to actually move one of those things. So if they're obviously getting evicted, they can't afford rent for the pad and they can't afford to move their house. Like so, you kick them out of the house that they like.
Of their home. And yeah, and
Yeah,
a lot of times, I would tell them like, hey, maybe you should just try to sell this home and then have the person who buys it just pay the back lot rent. So that was something I would try to get people to do because, I'm on team owner, but I'm also on team resident. You want to do what's right for everybody. And so
yeah.
it was really sad to see those situations where they had to walk away from their house because they had no other option.
I guess you never thought like
No,
through.
neither have
I
I.
never done a thought
Yeah.
experiment. Thought about like how you evict somebody at mobile home park.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
crazy.
and then it was another, I don't know, I guess real estate thing that I learned that people would do is I had a couple of different people who owned multiple mobile homes in the communities. and then they would rent those out. So
Mhm.
that's like something interesting that I thought people that they do that I didn't know about before. So
Yeah, I've heard about that too. Is like because you can buy mobile homes sometimes. Like if you buy them, if they need to remodel and stuff like that, like you probably buy them for like 20, $30,000, and then put like $10,000 at most, like in remodeling it, and then you have a
mhm.
a new unit that you can rent out to somebody.
Yeah,
But
even cheaper than that, really. I mean,
yeah,
you can get them pretty low cost at times. So
that's cool. Yeah, I mean, it's
yeah,
definitely intriguing for somebody who wants to like break into buying and rehabbing and then renting it out. So
mhm, yeah.
So something else that you mentioned though was like that fine line of like, being team owner and team resident. So even going into like the apartment space, because I know a lot of the residents do come in and see you every day. Well, maybe not every day, but often, or some of them do, right? What is that line to you? Like, how do you handle that? Because I know it would be difficult, right? Because I've become friends with you, which
Mhm.
I know you are not my resident, but like there is still, like with a resident, you have to say, like, no, you can't do this. Or you have to tell them, like, these are the things you have to do. Like, I'm sure a lot of them come to you and start to think, like, oh, she likes me. We're friends.
Right.
So,
I could park my motorcycle on the sidewalk. She won't care.
yeah, kind of thing.
No, then you're running a circus.
Yeah.
yeah,
I think that you have to have that respect from the residents. I think that that's really important is to have that communication from the get go, especially when you first do your move-ins, you lay out your expectations, and when you do become friends with them, that's okay. But at the end of the day, they have to follow the rules just like everybody else, even the people that don't come in and see you and bring you coffee in the morning. Everyone has to follow the rules. So I mean, if you're not paying your rent, I'm going to do everything I can to look for those local resources to try to help you find a way to pay your rent. But if you can't pay, you can't stay.
yeah,
So
So a lot
it's
of
hard.
Yeah, no, it is really hard. And a lot of people think that like that type of communication is like very direct, or what's another word? Almost, I don't want to say like confrontational. So how do you establish that from the very beginning? Like just from day one, right? You're like, these are the expectations.
Yeah, so I go over a portion of the lease with every move in. So part of that is their resident financial guidelines. And I tell them, hey, listen, rent's due on the first. We do give you a little bit of a grace period. If you don't have it paid by the sixth, there's a late fee. So I just kind of go over the process with them. But I tell them most importantly, you communicate with me. I'm willing to do a payment arrangement with you on occasion if you're going to be late. If you're frequently late, I will not be able to renew you. I just tell them that from the get go. And so I think just when you're upfront with them, you just have a better turnout, I think.
yeah. I mean, obviously that works because
Yeah.
Kristen crushes it, and like 0 to 90% of the time, which is awesome. So yeah, it's awesome.
Sure.
So obviously managing mobile home parks and also managing now managing like apartments, like there's probably going to be some pretty wild stories and some pretty crazy things that have happened along the way over the past several years. Like, what is probably the funniest thing that you've had happen, and then maybe also the craziest thing, right?
So I don't even know. So I would probably have to say funniest would probably be at the mobile home parks, just because I had a boss that was just so much fun. And not that my boss here isn't fun, but I mean, we're doing mobile home parks. And so when we weren't sure if an apartment or a mobile home was abandoned, because a lot of them were, we were kind of taking over different properties. This company was growing. And so we weren't sure about some of these properties. And so she would literally like throw me through windows sometimes because we had to get into them. We're like, okay, this one's abandoned for sure. Nobody's been here. We put the notes on the door. And she would lift me up and throw me. And there was this one time which I landed next to like dead mice.
Oh
and
my God.
like dog poop. I was like, oh my God, just freaking out. It's stupid, but I had a blast, honestly.
Yeah.
Good thing your head didn't smash right into it.
Oh my God. I was like, so close, girl. I would have quit on the spot.
That's your line dog picking
Yeah, dog pooping.
Oh,
the
oh
line.
my gosh.
That's funny.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure I have lots more, but that's just one that comes to mind.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
What about like a crazy story? Like you had something like that a resident did that you're like, wow, that happened.
Yeah, dude. So, and I haven't even told you guys about this one yet. This was a few months ago. I had a resident who he was always kind of problems. He has a motorcycle. He likes to park it right in front of his apartment. And I've told him like, no, you can't park there. Like you have to park in the parking lot. Well, I don't want someone to steal it. I'm like, okay, listen, if it's covered, if it's like just not out in the open, if it's just like kind of in the corner, okay, you can do that. He always pushes his boundaries. Well, this guy decided to have some drinks one night, and he was driving around Pryor, like in this area right around the apartment, and he was getting pulled over by the police. Well, rather than pull over, this guy drove around our apartment community, like evading police through the apartments on the grass.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Got arrested, went to jail. As far as I know, he's still in jail. And I told his girlfriend he is not allowed to come here ever again. Why? Like he put people in danger. I mean,
Yeah.
he drove on the grass.
Yeah, there's kids that play outside and everything like that. I know
Yeah. I mean, it was 11 o'clock at night, so I would hope kids wouldn't be out. But if they were, he wouldn't have been able to see them.
yeah,
That's true too.
that's wild. The high school is right
Yeah.
there.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. I mean, you just never know. I mean, it's crazy.
That is
You
wild.
you wake up and just don't really know what your day's gonna be about.
No.
Yeah, that's true. It's just like donuts everywhere, in the
Mhm.
grass and stuff. Yeah.
Like that?
That's funny. The cops like followed him on the grass though?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Oh,
I don't know if the police were driving their motorcycle or driving their cars on the grass. I don't think that happened, but they were certainly chasing him and cops around the parking lot. Yeah.
wow.
Quite
That's
exciting.
that is quite an experience.
that's
Oh, I like that.
awesome.
Well, you're gonna end up having stories like that too. with your burrs, which I'd
Yeah.
love to like transition into. Can you let us know? I don't know, like, so we know what happened when you were 14. So then, like, kind of what went up into your mind through property management? Like, what finally were you like, okay, I'm going to start looking, this is what I want to do. And then how'd you find it?
I don't even know how to answer that because I've always been one to look at Zillow and look at flipping. Okay, so during COVID, I flipped a camper. That was my little project. So I'm an artsy type person and I love to take something old and make it beautiful. And so when COVID hit, I was like, well, this is going to give me a lot of time to work on this project. So I've just always wanted to do something bigger. I wanted to do a house. And so yeah, we have some money and we just decided, let's do this. And I thought the Burr method is probably a great way to start out because one, we buy a house. If we decide we don't want to hold on to it, we can always flip it and build up our nest egg.
Yeah.
But I love the idea of just putting some money into it and then taking that money right back out and doing it all over again.
Yeah. And so for our
Yeah.
listeners out there who are not familiar with the Burr method, it's so you buy a house undervalued, you rehab it.
Yep.
So and bring it up. So like say you buy a house at $100,000 and you put $20,000 into it. Now it's worth 150. You refi it, pull that 30K out basically, if you can get 100%. This is hypothetical numbers for the purposes of this demonstration or this explanation. You're able to pull out 100%, you'd be able to pull that 150 to get 30K out. Now you can get all that money back. Sorry. I got to think about how I'm going to do this.
Yeah, I like to use simple numbers like 50,000. You buy a $50,000 house and you put 25,000 into it, so it's $75,000, and then it's worth 100,000. But then you refinance it and you just pull 75 out. So
Perfect.
your 25% is the bank money or the
Much better said.
yeah. It's easier when you just use 100.
Obviously, you get to do Burrs a lot.
Okay.
Public math for me is.
I use big numbers like 130.
Yeah. So yeah, buy, rehab, refinance to pull your money out, and then you just
And then just do it all over again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so how did you find it? And then how'd you find it? Two, how did you decide on the location?
So I had asked a realtor to help me, and I think that moving forward, I probably just look more into wholesalers. I've learned a little more. I've read some books and learned a little bit about the wholesaling market. But I did use a realtor for this one, and so the town that I'm working in. I don't know if you want me to say the name of this town.
Fine. Yeah.
Pryor, Oklahoma. There's so much going on in Pryor, and so I was really trying to find something here because one, I work here, I drive here every day. It would just be convenient to be able to check on it, on my lunch break or after work. But I couldn't find anything in our price range, so we just went on the outskirts of Pryor. So it's just about 15 minutes from here. But that's why I wanted to find somewhere that I knew would be easy to rent. I stay so full here. I'm always 95 to 100% occupied. I thought it's a no-brainer to stay in this area.
That's cool. And it's close to
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and it is a no-brainer. That's a great reason to choose a location.
So where are you at in the whole process now? Like, so you bought the house, like you're in the middle of the
And not even quite in the middle of rehab. I wish that I could say I was, but it's a little out of the way. It's not like it's on my way home. And so I didn't want to have to rush out there and turn the water off every time it was freezing because it's freezing here a lot.
Yeah.
Or the faucet's dripping, I should say. So we haven't even turned the utilities on. But we went there this weekend and made a huge master list, took a bunch of measurements. So now that spring is finally here, we're about to dive in. Yeah. So we're going to set some little mini goals for the weekends and hopefully before summer have it ready.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
gonna
We both work full time. So it's going to be, a challenge doing it any other time besides the weekends.
yeah, yeah.
No, that's okay.
Makes sense.
It'll be mostly a lot of DIY.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's how a lot of people start off, right? Like,
Sweat equity.
yeah, or just like two people working and they have an extra project to do, but that extra project is what gets you further, right? Than anybody else who is just working full time. And I mean, just for the listeners out there, right? Like Kristin also has children, so it's not like her and Tyler are just doing this on her own. Like there's a lot of other things going on in her household.
Show them how powerful real estate investing is.
Yeah. That's definitely the goal. Definitely.
Something else that I want to add though, right, is that like you said, but that's what you have to do. You have to do what nobody else is doing in order to get ahead of everyone else as well.
Yeah.
But it,
I was just gonna ask you real quick, are you gonna enlist your kids to help out, do this
Oh,
whole
absolutely. I have already told my 11-year-old daughter, like, you're going to be painting. You are maybe going to be mowing the yard.
love it.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be a family affair. My boys are older. They're 18 and 22, and they're excited. They're
oh,
excited for me.
cool.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Yeah, I
and
mean
I'm
it's
constantly putting little seeds in their heads too about doing
yeah,
this for themselves. So,
absolutely. I mean this is a huge learning experience, especially now like 18 and 20, they're very impressionable like right
Mhm.
now, like because like I feel like they're past that stage, where high school, they kind of like, oh, push away your parents because you think you know everything, right? But then when you hit like 18, 19, 20, starting to come back, starting to like actually listen, pay attention to what your parents are doing because you're trying to make it yourself, right? And so, but your daughter's young enough, like where she's not at that point where she's like, I don't want to hang out with you. Yeah, like when they're a teenager, right? So, like, yeah,
yeah.
highly impressionable right now. So it's really cool, and I think you'll be able to,
One, right? You like read all the books. Yes, like you grew up and like kind of had that glimpse, and you're like, okay, I want to do something with that as well. But then, right, like you decided, okay, I'm going to educate myself. But then from there, you're like, okay, I'm going to use a realtor. But then you were with reading, right, and educating yourself. You're like, next time I might use a wholesaler. This is the whole point of it all, too, right? Like, we don't have to have it right the first time because we never do. Or we can like pivot whenever we need to because we find a strategy that works better.
Mhm.
But like that's also the point of like, even if you take the 15 minutes every day to read a little bit more, or to listen to a podcast a little bit longer, like that's how you find out what works for you and what doesn't work for you, right? Because there are so many different methods and one will stick. And if it only sticks for like 5 years, then that's cool. If it only sticks for a month because you actually found out something new, then that works, like as long as you keep putting in that consistent effort, that is what gets you to where you need to be.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think everything's a learning experience, and you definitely take the good with the bad. I like the idea of doing this spur. I like the idea of doing a condo, maybe a 30-day rental. Like I kind of want to diversify and do all the things, chase all the shiny objects, and we'll see what works best, and then I'll just build there. Like it's not like a one size fits all. I love that you can do anything. The sky's the limit, and that's what I love about this whole opportunity.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah. So, I mean, what's the plan next? Like, do you have a plan to like buy one of these per year, or maybe like 2 a year? Like when you're done,
Honestly, I'd like to have 2 by the end of the year.
love it.
So this one and another, and then we'll just see how that goes and see what's next year. But I definitely want to build my portfolio each year.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. And then I just want to, I have a follow-up question about flipping a camper. Like,
You're like, now let's get back
obviously,
to that.
it's burning a hole in the back of my head. Revisit this for a second. So obviously a undervalued camper. Like,
Yeah, it was it
yeah.
was a turd. It was one of those little pop-up campers, and I paid $800 for it. It was a super cheap little flip. It was nothing massive. I don't really have a lot of space at my house, so it was like, okay, let's throw this thing in the backyard. And I put $1,000 into it, and I sold it for 3,800. So it wasn't a great, big, huge profit, but it still like more than doubled my money.
Yeah.
So that was exciting, and it was a project, so it was fun.
So I mean, like, what kind of things did you do being a pop-up camper, right? So like, did you have to paint the outside? Did you put new wheels and
Uh,
tires on it, or
Painted the outside, new wheels, changed out whole light fixtures, painted the cabinets, made little curtains for it. I got my Cricut machine out and I made a cute little tool for the table. It's all about camping and hiking and fishing. Um, yeah, it was so cute. I'll have to show you guys pictures.
that's
Yeah,
awesome.
I like
Yeah.
that a lot.
One cool fact about Kristen is she's an artist. She does cool paintings and stuff.
Sometimes when I can find the time.
Yeah, right. That's hard. So I totally understand that.
I've had the ish. I need to.
That's cool. So sorry, that was like a little brief interruption about the camper there, but I think that was really cool. You don't hear people flipping campers
Campers.
often.
No.
You know, I was thinking about when you said campers, like I was thinking like Airstream type of thing. Like even those Airstreams that are like built in like the 70s or whatever are still worth so much money. It's like, geez.
Yeah.
I was like looking at purchasing one of those and I was like, they're really cool, but they're really expensive. And most of the time that if you try to buy one that's that old, it needs a lot of repairs and you already paid so much money for it. But anyways, I'm rambling now. But it's cool. It's another opportunity to flip a camper or an RV, right? And make some money, like you said, doubling your money or more. So going back to your BRRRR strategy now. So you say you want two by the end of the year. Like what's your long term? You want to continue to do BRRRRs or you want to maybe get into like duplexes, fourplexes, or
I think plexes would be cool. I think that, I think there's probably more money in them, maybe. I don't know, I guess per door. Yeah. I mean, I would do apartment syndication. I would do what you guys are doing. I just have to figure it out and find my path.
love it.
I'm open.
That's awesome.
I'm open and I'm excited. Sure. I love the idea of short-term rentals, and Branson, Missouri is pretty close to here. So I love the idea of maybe having a few condos up there. Rentals, vacation is my love language.
I like that.
Yeah.
I'm adding that. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, you're like full steam ahead, and I love that drive. So, I mean, what Susie I think was getting at earlier, is like educate a little bit, educate it enough where you feel confident, and then go and take action, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I mean, you're never gonna get it right the first time. No, we didn't get it right the first time.
And we live on
I mean, it sounds like
blocks.
you got it right. I mean, yeah, you nailed it. But you said next time you might use a wholesaler, right, to get a better deal. But like, just move forward. Keep inching forward, even if it's a centimeter or an inch every single day. Move forward, right, and eventually that will compound over time. So, yeah, that's awesome. So educate and then take action, right? Everybody says educate is really important, but you also have to take the action.
You do. I mean, you can sit there forever just waiting for the right time, and it's never going to happen if you don't just jump into something.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah.
Cool. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you, Kristin. We are going to move into the adventurous 4 questions. So if you're ready, we will begin.
I'm ready.
Awesome.
Yay.
These are always so much fun for me.
I know.
The first question we have for you, Kristin, is where is one place you wish to travel to and why? Since vacation is your love
Love language. Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to go everywhere, like literally everywhere. But one place that I've always wanted to go is Machu Picchu in Peru. I think that place is just fascinating. It's beautiful. It's a combination of like history and just natural beauty, and you have to hike to get there. So that's one at the top of my list. I'd love to go there someday.
I love that.
I do too.
That's really cool. It's
We'll get
definitely
there
on our bucket
eventually.
list,
Yeah,
too.
it is. The second question is, what is something on your bucket list and how are you leveraging real estate investing to achieve it?
So I would say financial freedom. I think that's probably a pretty popular answer. All we have on this earth is time, and who wants to spend 9 to 5 at a job every day for the rest of their life? So
Yeah.
one of these days, I hope to, hang up this. I don't know. I want to say apron, but I hung up the apron a long time ago. I don't wait tables anymore. Just clock out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Clock out and walk out. No. But really, just financial freedom. I want to have more time to spend with my family, more time to take vacations, and really teach my kids to do the same. I would love for them to, they're so much younger than I am, and they have so many more years ahead of them than I do. And so, yeah, just there it is.
Yeah, no, I like that.
Yeah, for sure. So the third question we have for you is, what is one piece of advice for someone who wants to start investing, like whether that's BRRRR, like strategy like you had, or what?
But really, is just educate yourself and just do something. Spend your weekends researching, spend your weekends listening to podcasts, YouTube, read the books, and just take action. Find some people like friends or family that you can go in on something. I've told my son who's young and thinking about doing something, I'm like, maybe get a duplex and just rent out the other side. There's so many different options. Really just educate yourself and find what works for you. Just do something.
Yeah,
No, thanks for that.
agreed.
So then our fourth and final question is, if you had unlimited resources available to you, how would you leave an impact?
Okay, so again, this because I'm a mom, like this is who I am. I didn't learn financial literacy in school. And my son's school, he did take a financial literacy class in school, but it wasn't what he needed. It was a lot of Dave Ramsey, which Dave Ramsey's great, don't get me wrong, but he's great for helping you get out of debt. He's not really about financial prosperity and teaching you how to take out a loan, or like the first time I saw an amortization education schedule, I was like, this is like the holy grail. This is amazing. I'm so
Yeah.
excited to like actually understand interest rates and where your payments going towards this much towards the principal, this much towards the interest, and then how that kind of teeter totters as you get deeper into the loan. And so I would love to do something with the education system so that kids are actually taught these things in school and they
Yeah.
don't have to figure them out when they're 40 like me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's so true. And like even the whole credit card thing, right? Like I don't know why we aren't talking about credit cards in high
Mhm.
school. Like as in like they're not really the greatest when you turn 18. Please do not apply immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
But
also you need it in order to get a credit score. It's like a double-edged
Yeah,
sword.
it
You
is.
you need it and you need to spend on it and pay it off. But it's like, finding that balance, right? So,
Yeah, but like understanding what that 20% on that credit card actually means. Like it
right.
can be a lot of money.
yeah.
Yeah, whatever you buy, if you think it's on sale, it is no longer on sale.
Be
If
careful.
Exactly.
yeah, be carry about. Totally.
Exactly. So yeah, that's what I would do.
So if our listeners wanted to get a hold of you, Kristen, what is the best way they could do that?
I would say just email me. My email is Kristin, Kristin, Cleary, Cleary, 812 @gmail.com.
Cool.
Email is probably the best way to get a hold of me.
Perfect. And I'll make sure to add that to the show notes so that people can find you easily if they need to. So thank you so much for offering that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's been an absolute pleasure, Kristen. As you can see, our listeners out there, like number one, why we love Kristen. Number two, why we love Winfield, because they hire such high caliber employees, right? And we love Kristen's on our team. So thank
Right.
you.
And even sorry, just to
Yeah.
add this to that, like if you don't like your property manager, something needs to change because you need to be on this level
Yeah.
with your property manager one, right? They are part of your partnership. Like they are part of your deal. Like you need to have a very strong relationship with that individual.
100%.
I
Sorry.
think as a property manager, well, I was going to say one more thing. I was just going to say, as
Yeah.
a property manager, I think it's very important for anybody who wants to be a property manager. You have to treat the property as if it were your own. Like I'm taking care of this for you, and I'm honored that you're trusting me with this huge multi-million-dollar property. It's a very important job, and so I love you guys. I thank you guys. You guys are so supportive. You're the best owners I could have imagined.
Aw.
You are. You're wonderful.
Thank
I
you.
just- I feel so privileged to have you guys in my life.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah.
That-
The feeling is honestly
Yeah.
100%. So awesome, Kristen. Well, it was an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. I hope that our Adventures family took away some really awesome lessons, some funny stories as well. Yeah. And then we'll have to have you back on, after you complete your burr and then you buy the next one. So
I would love that.
That's
Yeah,
a
you
fun-
love that.
Awesome.
Totally.
Well, thank you so much. Until next time, explore more, adventure awaits.